Hello guys, this is my small demonstration with the Roost desktop. First of all, thanks for making this Cloud ID kind of free. I named it as Cloud ID. So what today I'm going to demonstrate is a sidecar pattern. One Python container, another is a Redis container, and in another pod you will be able to see a MySQL container, which I named it as DB pod. One feature first I'm going to demonstrate is a Roost network, where you can see. So this is pushes a lot from my Roost desktop. This is I have approved that both requests from either way around. So one application which I have created, it's based on security application, where I have some certain users in one application which I have named it as user application. Another application is a data application, which I say it is a role-based access control application. Like each user will have some operations permitted for British. For example, if I work in airline domain, it's like British Airways or Lufthansa Airways. So one application, one microservices is basically for users, another microservices for data. So this is just to save time. I have already created images of Redis, MySQL and Python. I have already taken that images, downloaded that images. Another way is, like, if you want to create an image, you can just click on it. It's super easy in creating a image. It's like just build an image, and in the events you should be able to see that image is successfully created. And if you want to see, for example, Kubernetes cluster, this is RKT console, which is a nice UI to basically kubectl commands. You can see currently there are no services deployed in Kubernetes. If I do Kubernetes get started, this is just one cluster IP is running. This is how you should be able to see that there is nothing running. I have just deleted the services. That's why it is showing like this. Otherwise it used to show that there are two, one is control plane, another is a Roost worker. So what I'm going to do now is, since I already have the YML and the images which got pushed from my fellow employee, what I like the feature is, like, there is no need for the mistakes to be postponed. Like today, if I created a pod and another basically a service which I created, and my fellow user is working on another service, I can just test it in my local box. I can just ask him that, can you please share the image or the YML what you have created, so that I can test in local, or he can test in either way. He can also test my service, I can also test his service. So this is how I got the service. You just push it to a CMA and you share it with this, and you should be able to see under your images itself. Let's deploy this DB pod application first. Apply to ZKA. This is the DB pod what I'm talking about, which is a MySQL container. MySQL DB is shared between. Okay, as I told, there are one service which got created. MySQL is another. So there are three pods running. If you click on each and every pod, you should be able to see that, okay, for example, for data web, what are the events happen? It will be showing that, okay, started container Python. So you can see the events what happened for that particular pod, and you should be, for example, some error happened, you should be able to see that it is inactive, and currently it is showing the 5 containers. And one good thing about this is that you can verify the logs then and there in this service. Like for example, if you click on this, you should be able to see the logs of the container, which is very good feature for debugging purpose. And the same way, let's try to test this service. I have already opened the link. So first, my service, which is a user service, I'm going to init the DB. Basically, I'm going to create a DB for that. It is running on 3.0.45. If you give a node port, it gets bounded to that. So it will say DB init is done. Same way, this service is my data service, where I'm going to create data for airlines. It is again says the DB init is done. Now user service, I have not created any user, so it will show record not found for users. Same way for data also, I have not created any data for users, so it is again showing that there is no record found for users as well as for data. Now let's create some users and some data. I'm going to just demonstrate it with a small example. So let's create one user. I'm going to create one RoostDemo user. Let's say I created a user. He's saying added RoostDemo. It was showing before because I just clicked it again. So now if we go to UI, you should be able to see that one user has come into our, oh sorry, this is not the user. So RoostDemo user has created DB, but there is no data yet created. Let's create data also. So data I'm going to create, like for example, if you need a user ID, I have not implemented a full rollback concept. It's just for the demonstration purpose. So first, your user ID I'm going to create data is for British Airways. So let's create data for, he's saying added British Airways. Okay, let's go to this UI, and we should be able to see that data also got created under this. So British Airways data got created. Now what I have demonstrated over here is that if first request we do a get, it is served from the MySQL DB. If second time do you request, it is served from the Redis cache, which is basically running as a side pattern. So what should happen now? We should get response from my Redis cache. I have just you should be able to see in the response what changed. Now see, second time if you give see, it is coming from C means cache. So now whatever the further request, it will be served from the Redis cache. Similar way for this guy also, we should be able to see a C at the last. This C demonstrates that it's a response is coming from cache. So I have just implemented it based on the, but the sidecar pattern was super easy to implement, and now we can implement on top of that service mesh also if you want to implement it. And moreover, we can have like okay on the cache policy and mechanism. That is for the further job, but this is just for the demonstration. Thanks for watching.